I'd like to walk you through dealing with grading in Schoology, and I'm going to be talking about traditional Schoology assignments. If you are interested in dealing with Google and Schoology assignments on my YouTube channel, if you're ever there, please go to Playlist first. Things are just a little more organized there, and then go to Created Ones. Click this arrow, find Schoology for Teachers, View Full Playlist, and then if you go down just a little bit, I asked Chris Piercy to make a video for Schoology assignments with Google materials, Google Docs, Google Slides, etc., and then grading those as well. So he covered that for us. I'm going to deal with just more traditional. So I'm going to go to a course and let that load up. I'll click on materials. And again, just waiting for things to load. I've already made this assignment, but let me go into the edit menu here just to show a few things. So if you go to create new assignment, go ahead and give it the name. You can type in some directions. I will say submit something from your computer, and students can access their Google Drive files. So I don't actually need to attach anything, but I could if I wanted to. So if I want to I'll just, let's put current projects outline in there. That looks good. So whatever I need, if I need to have some links, those can go in there. I'm not going to mess with Cami with this, and I do want the default grading scale, and maybe I only want this to be 10 points. Do give it a category if you want to send this grade to PowerSchool, and make sure you're in your Q1. If it is Q1, you can start to deal with dates. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that this due date is tomorrow. So we'll just change that, and I'll click Save Changes. So I, the teacher, made this assignment. Again, to make an assignment, you can go to Add Materials, Add Assignment. And now I am going to refresh this since I just added that. I kind of want to see, yes, right here, Schoology assignment due September 4th at 11:59. So now let's go into a student account and actually look at it from that view. So I am in as Colin Rosie, and I'm going to refresh since some new things just took place. And let's go into just updates. Let's get out of the screen that we were in. So remember a minute ago I had that Schoology assignment on my teacher page, and now the student sees it. So let's say that the student is ready to start this assignment. They click on it, and what they will get right here the first time is a submit button. Now I've been messing around with making different tutorials, so I've submitted several things, but they'll originally just have a submit. And once they click on submit, just like right here it says resubmit, let me go ahead and pick on resubmit. They can pick something from their files, but generally since they're on a Chromebook, they're going to want to go to resources, and once they're there, notice there's not a lot here, but if they click apps, and you saw me click it, let me click it again, and then they click Google Drive. If they've never connected it, they have to approve. Once they approve it, this is just going to be everything that's in their Google Drive. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to look for something to upload. I'm going to go ahead and do a thing about argumentative writing. Now, if they have a ton of files, just so many that they can't just scroll through, they can search their drive, and that's fine too. So I have it selected, and I could go over here and import the file. You could also go up here and import the file, and you'll get a little, or the students will get a little message that it's importing. So this is the 6th one, and if they ever want to see what they imported, they can actually click on the name of the assignment, and we'll wait for this to load. And this is just a random document that I had, so this is just for a tutorial. So we see that a document is here, and if it were an essay, then maybe this looks more like just a normal thing we would see in Schoology. So the student can check what they submitted. So let's go back to the teacher page. Now I am going to refresh since that just got submitted, and we want to make sure that we can see that. So if the due date has already passed, I might just see a reminder to grade, or I might actually see the assignment. So I'll go ahead and click on Schoology assignment, and here it says needs grading. So remember earlier where I said submit something from your computer, and I added that document. Now we can see those are there. So I'm going to click Needs Grading, and again, there have been several submissions, and they're called revisions on the student end, but we should see that exact same document. There it is, the argumentative writing. If you find that you're scrolling, and that bothers you, you can go up to full screen, and you have just a nice, better view of it, and that will probably bring up all of your tools. So let's just say that this is an essay, and I need to start grading it. I can go to Draw, and the first time you draw, so let's pretend that something's misspelled. I just circled that, and then I waited, and it sort of brought up this image selector box. And what I want to do is change the style to a red and about a 7-point, and I'll say done. Now, anytime I want to go through here, if this were math work, I might put an X, I might do an arrow, I could do all sorts of things. And let me just scroll down a little more. But if you want to insert comments, you can go in and maybe right here, I want to say, please transition between ideas, and I'll put a period, and I'll hit save. So I have this option as well. So I'm going to go back to the smaller screen view, and if I had a class full of students, they would be down here. I would have an arrow right here to go to the next one. If I've linked my courses, I can click here and see different sections. This is just my practice course, so I don't have all of that. But let's go ahead and just give this, let's say that it is going to be a 7 out of 10. And I hate to tell you this, but I don't know how to get rid of this right now. All I know is I need to click back in this box. I need it to go away. It just isn't going away. I had to hit submit on that blue thing right there. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go back to the student view. So remember, this was the last view we had before I went in and graded it. So I'm going to do a refresh. And so generally, students, once they turn something in, it takes a couple days before we grade it. So if you say, hey, you can go look at your paper, he can go back to the course. And if the deadline hasn't passed yet, you know, he'll see it there. But if it's passed, they can go into grades. And hopefully, let's see here, there's that Schoology assignment. So we do see that something was submitted. So one way to view it is to click on the name of the assignment, and it'll take them back. And remember, we were dealing with revision 6. Wait for this to load. We should see a couple of red marks and at least one note. That's what we're waiting for. A couple of red marks and at least one note. And I forgot about the circle there. So we have all those marks that I just made as the teacher. And then right here is where I asked that a transition be placed. So hopefully this is just like handing out a paper in class, marking on it, handing it back to the student, except we're doing this all digitally. Now, if you do have linked courses, I do want to show how that looks a little better than in my practice course. So let me go to materials, and I believe I'm going to find an assignment here. I'm going to click on this one. So in this case, I'm looking at first period. I'll click on the first student, and it is going to bring up that same viewer. And again, these are pretty small boxes here. So if you need to do full screen, go ahead. And then when you're done grading this one and you've put your grade there, there's that arrow I was mentioning earlier. Going to the next student, let it load, and then again and again. Now, you can go and see which students you're grading. The other thing you can do is, if you're not going to check on how many submissions they had, you can switch to your next class from here. So now I'll go ahead and I'll pick on someone in third period, so I didn't actually have to get out of this and, you know, switch classes here, but that's also a possibility to switch back and forth. So that's an option. Now, for grading, Once they are graded, let's go. I've mentioned this before, but who knows if you've had a chance to deal with all those things. If you have your category set up in Schoology, and if you need to add some, you can. As long as they're there, you can go down to PowerSchool. Give it a second to do its loading here. And you're going to want to mess with configuration. You want to automatically shorten. You're going to need to match the Schoology categories to what it says for PowerSchool. And then you're going to go down and hit save. And you are going to do this for every single one of these classes. But once you've done that, you just go to Sync Grades. Click it again. Give it a second. And this says successful. So here's where you go and you click for it to sync. And if everything's set up right, this will be a blue blinking set of boxes for a minute. And if it lasts too long, you might just go and open PowerSchool and then hit refresh and see if they're there. If you have an error, if you ever go down and it says error, view error, generally it's going to have something to do. Let me go back here. It's going to have something to do with the settings in that assignment. So let me go and click this right here. Generally, you can fix it by going into the edit and, generally, that stuff's not going to be wrong, but you've got to make sure it's been given a category and, that your point value is correct and that your grading period is correct. That is going to solve it, or maybe you didn't hit that automatically shorten titles and your title is really long. So, and I can always help you. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you see an error. I can usually figure it out, and there was one I couldn't figure out this week, and Brandy Rosie had me try something, and by golly, it worked. So we don't want those things just hanging out there unresolved, and I certainly don't want you typing them in by hand when Schoology already has a grade there. So I believe I've covered most of dealing with traditional Schoology grading. As soon as I said I dealt with everything, I figured we probably better click on the grade book and take a look here. So we'll let all these load. Now, if you do a lot of assignments, you're going to see and have to scroll through here, but you can go up and you can start to sort. Like if I just want to see projects, if anything has been listed as a project and none have right now, I can do that. If I just want to see daily questions, because that's a category, then now I've narrowed it down to just see daily questions. And if I just want to see quizzes, then now that's narrowed down and I can just take a look at those. So that will be helpful. Now, while I'm here, I do want to say, please do not, I repeat, do not click this button to send grades to PowerSchool. There's way too much in here. It's going to bog down the system. It's probably going to create problems. And if you are in PowerSchool, please do not, I repeat, do not click this button either. Just go to the assignment and cue it one at a time, or you are probably going to experience a problem. So if I can save you any headaches, hopefully that was it. Please do not hesitate to ask me questions.